Good morning, everybody. I'm Glenn from Sight and Sound. My colleagues Sam and Stuart are with us here today to deliver the session to you. We're going to stop every 30 minutes for 5 minutes to give you all a break before we move on to each subsequent scenario. And we have a chat box at the bottom of the screen, and Stuart is going to monitor that. And we'll answer chats in the session. Stuart will bring them into the session if they are relevant to everybody and we need them for discussion points. Otherwise, he may well just answer the chat in line if it's more a question of just understanding for somebody specifically. So the chat box at the bottom of the screen is a way you can find us. So yes, I'm Glenn from Sight and Sound Technology. We've been around for 43 years now. We haven't all been here for 43 years working for the company. Most of us have been here for a good few, though. We're best known for our work in the area of low vision and blindness. We're the biggest company in the UK operating in that space. You may well know us if you are non-sighted in the area with JAWS and Zoom text software, but we have lots and lots of other things in our goodie locker, which we'll talk to you about today. We're also in the area of literacy, chiefly dyslexia, but also motor disability as well. And we look after about 15,000 students in higher education on a daily basis, actually, and over 35,000 people with low vision as well. So we look after all of those people and hopefully keep the technology running. We work all the way from the front end of the process, really auditing and assessing people's needs, obviously delivering the technology that we're going to show to you here today. We think the most important part, though, is training people how to use the technology and then supporting them technically with it to make sure that it all works together. You can spend a lot of money on this type of technology, but if it doesn't work for you, then we think it's of no value whatsoever. So we spend a lot of time keeping people on the road, as it were, with the tech, and hopefully we'll pass on some of that expertise and experience to you here today. So thank you for joining us.
Yeah, welcome. Thank you everybody who's made this possible this morning. All of the team at DeafBlindUK and obviously all the interpreters, and it's great to have you all with us. Good. So as Glenn said, we're going to be looking at 3 case studies, 3 scenarios, real life scenarios of people living with deaf blindness, a range of conditions, a range of difficulties, a range of needs and requirements, and hopefully you may be able to relate to some of them, and hopefully we could support you and offer some guidance regarding assistive technology. And the whole idea, obviously, this morning is to promote independence as much as possible. Good. Okay, so our first scenario that we've got this morning is Elizabeth. And Elizabeth she's 74 years old and she lives alone. And Elizabeth did work as a shorthand typist for many years. And she was diagnosed with age-related macular degeneration, or AMD, 7 years ago. And she also lost all of her hearing on her left-hand side 10 years ago. Okay, so for the last 17 years, she's been living with hearing and a visual impairment. Some of Elizabeth's biggest challenges that she faces day to day, some of the main ones would be organising bills and reading any letters or mail that comes through the letterbox, checking prices and product labels in the shops, reading cooking instructions or sell-by dates, and managing her medication, prescriptions, etc. And then finally, operating a mobile phone. It may seem very simple in 2021, operating a mobile phone, but we're going to show you today a couple of mobile phones actually that were specifically designed for somebody with a visual impairment, and hopefully they will also support somebody with a hearing impairment as well. Good. So that is Elizabeth. That's our first case study that we're working with this morning. And now I'm going to talk you through a range of technology solutions that we feel would best support somebody in Elizabeth's situation. So we want to move forward, Glenn. Thank you. Okay, so yeah, before we move forward, I always forget this one. This is a simulation or a visual representation of how Elizabeth sees the world. So somebody with macular degeneration there, you can see the central vision is affected, and she has sort of blurred peripheral vision as well. Thanks, Glenn. Great. So our solutions. First up, we have the Orcam My Eye. Now this is a wearable solution. Okay. And this would allow Elizabeth to scan any printed material that dropped onto a doormat through the letterbox, or any, as the scenario suggests, any cooking instructions, any printed material she would be able to access by tapping on the Orcam, which is mounted on a set of magnetic frames. It scans the text and it converts it into audio. And there's a tiny little speaker just at the back of the Orcam which sits in front of your ear. Okay, and this is also Bluetooth compatible, which is important to say. So this can be connected to Bluetooth hearing aids or Bluetooth speaker, for instance, if you wanted extra audio if you're in the house. So yeah, again, this is predominantly a text-to-speech device. However, it does have some other built-in features such as facial recognition. So obviously we know that Elizabeth's central vision is affected. So if she opens the door to a delivery driver or whoever it might be, she's not going to possibly know who it is, whether it's a man, whether it's a woman, whoever it might be. Facial recognition, she could tap the Orcam and it's going to give her a description. Okay, she can also save faces into the Orcam, so she can save family members' faces, friends, and she can name them. So next time that person comes in front of the Orcam, it will say their name. Okay, it also has barcode recognition, product recognition. So this would allow Elizabeth to be much more independent when out shopping. She could scan the barcodes in Morrison's, in Tesco's, and it would give her a description of the item, etc. And it also has some other features such as color recognition and banknote recognition as well. So lots of uses there which would allow Elizabeth to read printed material, and yeah, to also to do many other things as well. Good. So the next solution we've got is a range of portable video magnifiers, and I'm actually going to demonstrate these for you in a second, so I won't go into too much detail just yet. But this is a range of handheld digital magnifiers. So we're not talking about optical here, the old-fashioned Sherlock Holmes style magnifiers. We're looking at electronic digital magnifiers with a high definition screen. Okay, and I'll talk you through those in just a second. Third solution, I spoke about accessible mobile phones earlier, and this is our first mobile phone that we'll be talking about today. It's called the Magnivision mobile phone, and I'm also going to be talking you through that as well. I'm going to demonstrate that for you. The fourth solution we've got is an OCR desktop, OCR meaning optical character recognition, and this would allow Elizabeth to magnify any printed material. She could put that underneath the camera on her work surface or a desk. She'd put some printed material underneath the camera, and that would then magnify that onto a large screen, 22, 24-inch monitor. Okay, but as well as having that magnified on a large screen, she could also scan the text and it would read it out loud for her as well. Okay, so as well as having the magnification, she'll have the audio, so she can also follow the text if she needs to. Okay, this is a very large device, say a desktop magnifier, so it's not portable. This would stay at home, in the office, the kitchen table, etc. But again, a really, really good way of accessing printed material very quickly. And then finally, we've got a accessible tablet, and this is using some software called the Synaptic software. Now, many of us today are familiar with tablets, iPads, or Android tablets, whatever it might be. Obviously, this would allow Elizabeth to access the internet, to check the television guide, to email family, to access social media, so she can see pictures of her grandchildren, perhaps. All of that would be possible by using the Synaptic tablet. Now, what makes this unique is that the Synaptic software makes the tablet fully accessible for somebody with a visual or with a hearing impairment, because everything is spoken out loud. There is a full screen reader built into the tablet. Okay, so everything that Elizabeth puts her finger on, okay, is spoken out loud, and then she can slide down the screen, okay, and everything is spoken as she slides down. So let's say the top option would be Facebook. She'd slide down to emails, address book, internet, everything's spoken out loud. She can also use voice, which is key. So she can speak into the tablet and ask it to tell her what the weather is today, what time is the number 22 bus, etc. Okay, so she has different ways of interacting with the tablet, as well as obviously physically, but also vocally as well. Good. Okay, so those are our first five solutions that we're going to be discussing this morning. I'm now actually going to give you a quick demonstration of the magnifiers in the phone. So if Glenn, you're happy just to stop the screen share, and I'll spotlight my big head for everybody. Good morning. This is me. I'm just going to change my camera over as well. Good. Okay. Hopefully we can all pick this up fairly well. So good. So the first, I'm actually going to swap this out for the baby magnifier, which is this one. Okay, we're going to be looking at the Ruby range of handheld digital magnifiers this morning. Okay, and this is the, as I mentioned, this is the baby of the family. This is the Ruby HD. Okay, this has a 4.3-inch screen from corner to corner. Okay, it has tactile, high contrast buttons on either side of the screen. Okay, it has an ergonomic handle, so I can hold the handle there. I can hold this, hover it over some text. I can then change the color contrasts on the side there. I can then use these buttons on the right hand side to zoom in and zoom out. Okay, so Elizabeth could take this, she could pop this in a handbag, she could take it to the shops with her, she could take it, you know, to the bus stop, and she could magnify the timetable, okay, using the handle there. But if she was at home and she wanted to use this hands-free, or perhaps maybe she had arthritis and she struggles, you know, she has physical impairments as well as obviously visual and audio as well, she can also rest the magnifier on the page hands-free. All she has to do is move the magnifier from side to side, obviously to read the text. Okay, because it's a 4.3-inch screen, we're not getting a huge amount of text on there. We're getting possibly one or two words, which is where we would then graduate to the next size, which I'll show you in a second. One other unique feature about the Ruby HD is that we can also rest the Ruby on its handle. So if I open the handle and just rest it on its you can see that I'm resting on its side there. What I can now do, we do get a lot of people of Elizabeth's age, Elizabeth's sort of age group, which are interested in cross stitch. Okay, so if I just put my fingers behind the camera there, I could quite easily thread a needle. Okay, if I have the right sort of amount of magnification. I know we have another client as well who's a fly fisherman, and he rigs up his fishing flies using this technique as well. Okay, so these little devices do have quite unique unique selling points, if you like. They have unique features, not just for reading, magnifying text, but for doing other day-to-day tasks, hobbies as well. We also have the next size in the Ruby family, which is called the Ruby XL HD. Okay, this now has a 5-inch HD screen, corner to corner. Okay, so I can fit more text on the screen. Okay, it works in exactly the same way. The only difference, obviously, apart from the larger screen, is that as well as having a handle, so it has an ergonomic handle, just like its previous model, but it also has a reading stand, okay, which sits the magnifier at a 45-degree reading angle. So there we go. So it's much more, it's much easier to sort of read the text as you've got that angled stand on the back there, rather than having it flat on the page. Okay, so that's the Ruby XL HD, got slightly bigger screen. And then we're going to graduate once more. What I was talking you through next was the largest model in the Ruby range, which is the Ruby 7. Okay, now this is a 7-inch handheld digital magnifier. Okay, so again, we're getting much more text on the screen now. So this would be helpful if Elizabeth was reading, larger bodies of text. She's, if she enjoys reading novels or autobiographies, or whatever it might be. I have, I have a client who obviously reads the Bible using this size model. You can fit much more text on there. Again, you can access different color contrasts. Okay, you can zoom in, zoom out. There we go. Okay, but the unique feature with the Ruby 7 is that it has a pivot cam. Okay, so for somebody like Elizabeth, perhaps, this unique feature would allow her to possibly apply lipstick, apply makeup, or to put on a necklace. So if I just swivel the camera around, I'm not sure if you've picked up my camera again yet. If not, I'll do my best to describe it. It has a pivot.
No, we haven't got your camera, Sam, at the moment.
Okay. Yeah, I am sorry about that, everybody. I'm just going to have to move forward because yeah, we are pushed for time.
Yeah, when we get onto the presentation, you can reset it.
Yeah. Yes, this unique pivot camera on the Ruby 7 would allow Elizabeth to move it all the way around, so it's facing herself, and she could then use it to, like I said, apply lipstick and magnify that onto the screen. Okay, and then she could just spin the camera back around to face the text on the surface that she was resting on. Okay, so again, another quite unique feature with the Ruby 7. So each addition to the Ruby family has its own sort of unique feature. We then have even larger sort of handheld digital magnifiers, such as the Compact 10, and this is now a 10-inch model. Okay, but this then also has the option to scan text and have it read out loud as well. Okay, so as you move up through the different sizes in the handheld magnifiers, we then start to add OCR, optical character recognition. So Elizabeth would be able to magnify text and scan it and have it read out loud for her as well. And it's a portable tablet size. So this, she could take this on holiday with her. She could take it to her friends, her relatives, whoever it might be. Good. Okay, so those are our handheld digital magnifiers. And now I'm going to quickly just run through the Minivision mobile phone. Okay, now again, I'm sorry if you don't have the visuals, but hopefully we're going to pick up the audio. Now I'm just going to adjust.
Yeah, we've got the audio, but still no video. Once we go into the next scenario, maybe you can reset it.
Yeah.
Once I've taken the screen back.
Okay.
I'm getting your Sight and Sound logo on the screen, but no video at all.
I'll just reset my camera, so I'm not sure if that's any better, Glenn.
No, nothing's happening at all.
Very strange, because I can clearly see my yeah. Anyway, that's odd. Okay, I'm just going to adjust my microphone.
Text messages, software update.
Yeah, that sounds good, Sam.
Okay.
Phone, 1 of 50.
Okay. There we go. Okay, everyone. So apologies again about the visuals, but we've got the audio. And what I have here for you is the Minivision, which is again, it's a very simple, mobile phone, which is specifically designed for the visually impaired. And for somebody like Elizabeth, who isn't perhaps confident with technology, isn't familiar with smartphones, touch screen technology, etc., this is perfect. This is ideal because it's very basic. It has a tactile keypad. There's no touch screen element. It has very, very well spaced tactile keys. Okay, but as well as that, it has a voice activation element. So Elizabeth can speak into the phone and say, "Call Sam," or "Call the doctors," whatever it might be. She can speak into the phone, and she can also dictate a text message, for instance, rather than have to worry about trying to find the keys or whatever it might be. She can use her voice to send that text message, to select a specific contact, etc. But everything is spoken out loud as well. So
Applications.
I'm hoping
volume settings, voice,
you can pick this up.
15 of 10.
Yep, we're picking it up. Fine.
Good.
Yep.
Okay, good. So as I roll through the menus,
Applications. Phone, 1 of 15. Contacts 2 of 15. Messages 5. Messages not read 3 of 15.
There we go. So you can hear there quite clearly. Each menu is spoken out loud for me. I'm told if I've got any unread messages, any missed calls, that sort of thing. And also, you can customize the low vision settings. So I can magnify the text on the screen even more. I can change the color contrast. So I have it set to yellow on black text at the moment. All these things can be customized to suit the user's needs. Okay, so it's very, very simple. As I said, there's no internet capability, no smartphone features. This is very basic, just for making calls, sending text messages, but ideal for somebody that just needs something very, very simple. There we go. And this is made by Capsys, who are based in France. Okay, that make accessible mobile phones, and we're going to be looking at another Capsys device later on, which is sort of the upgraded version of the Minivision, if you like. Good. Okay. There we go. So Glenn, if you want to just reshare the presentation again, and we'll just summarize. I've got a minute to summarize, and then we'll take a 5-minute break.
And we can, perhaps log in again.
Oh, I just want to go back one slide. Sorry, yeah.
It's going slowly.
Yeah, no problem. There we go. Okay, everybody. So apologies about our tech issues, but we'll hopefully we'll get there in the end. But we've got our 5 solutions there for Elizabeth, which we believe would support with accessing that printed material, letters, post, sell-by dates, prescription labels, etc. Accessing that, converting it into audio if necessary, okay, or magnifying it in the shops, whatever it might be. We've got a device there to support, obviously, using an accessible mobile phone, very simple. And we've got devices there to help accessing the internet, online shopping, staying in touch with family. All of that is possible with these devices. Okay, very good. All right, so we'll pause there. We'll take a 5-minute break. So I make that 47. So if we come back in 5 minutes, and then we can kick on with our second scenario.
Excellent. All right, thanks everybody. Great. Let's move on then. So our second scenario today, a completely different set of circumstances. We've got David, who is 66, and he's a retired social worker. And David has Usher syndrome, okay, which has left him with very little hearing, okay, and only a small amount of central vision. Okay, now some of David's hobbies. David's a keen musician, okay, and he composes and performs his own music. And he is an experienced Brailleist, but he isn't confident with new technology. So David's very happy with technology that he's used to and that he's used for many years, but sort of especially Braille technology is fast emerging area of assistive technology. So we need to try and support David with some new devices, which and Stuart's going to talk you through in just a second. Also, David enjoys reading printed Braille as well as electronic. Okay, and we're going to be exploring how David can do that in just a second. But he would also like some support with accessing printed material as well, so printed text. And we're going to look at all that just now. Thanks, Glenn. So our first solution that we've got is the Pearl camera with open book software. And this is a dual solution, if you like. We've got 2 pieces of technology combined here. We've got the Pearl camera, which is a lightweight foldable OCR device. We looked at OCR in the last scenario. So this will scan printed material. Okay, it will then convert it into digital text. So it will then send that across to a laptop or a computer. Okay, and then David can access that in a digital format. You can access it via audio within the open book software. Okay, the open book software is the piece of software there that will convert that into digital text. David can then edit that text if he wanted to. Okay, or he can just obviously listen to it, and then he can save it on his computer, send it in an email, whatever it might be. Okay, but this is a very, very quick and easy way of David capturing printed text, converting it into audio or digital text, and then saving it on his chosen device. Okay. The second solution we've got is a brand new device, which we're very excited to introduce to you this morning. And Stuart's going to be talking us through this in just a second, so I won't give too much away. But this is a Braille note taker. So essentially,
it's a tablet without a screen. Okay, so obviously David, being a Brailleist as well, it has a Braille display built into the tablet. So Stuart's going to talk us through this. He's actually going to give us quite a detailed demonstration of it in just a second. Third solution we've got is a Braille Embosser. So this would allow David to print any Braille that he needs to access, and he can read that in hard copy format. Okay, now this is called the Index Basic Embosser, and it also has the capability to allow you to print wirelessly. So if you have a device, a smartphone or a tablet, you can wirelessly connect to the Index, and I could find a document on my iPhone perhaps. I could then wirelessly send that to the embosser and print it as a Braille document. Okay, so it would translate the text file on my phone, and it would convert that into a Braille document and print it for me. Okay, so it's a very, very useful device for anybody accessing hard copy Braille. The fourth scenario we've got is another piece of computer software, and this is a screen reader, okay, called JAWS screen reader software. And we have a video as well. Stuart's very busy in this scenario this morning. Stuart has a video demonstration of JAWS screen reader for us in a second. But this is a piece of software that would allow somebody with a visual impairment to independently access and independently use a computer. So you can navigate around your computer purely by audio, but it also has Braille output. Okay, so you can also have a Braille display or connected to the computer to read any digital text in Braille format. Good. And then finally, the final solution in this scenario, we've got, again, it's another dual solution. We've got a Braille display paired with a smartphone or a tablet. Okay, now a Braille display, what's the difference between a Braille display or a Braille note taker? So a Braille display, okay, is very simply a device that will display Braille on its Braille cells there. Very different to the note taker, which is a sort of, as I mentioned, a tablet. It has other features, other applications that you can access, Facebook, YouTube, all that sort of thing. A Braille display can be paired to another device, a computer, a phone, a tablet, and it can convert the digital text into Braille. Okay, you can also input using the Braille display as well. You can write using the Perkins keys, and you can write text using the Braille keys there as well. Okay, and Stuart's going to talk us through all of this in much more detail in just a second. Good. Okay, so I'll pause there and I'll hand over to Stuart, and Stuart can fire into the demonstration.
Thank you, Sam. And sorry,
I just stopped my screen share.
Thank you, Glenn. Yeah, perfect. So thank you, Sam, and good morning, everybody. I'm conscious I'm going to speak slowly and that my Irish accent won't put people off too much, but it's great to be here. It's always great to talk about Braille, and when Braille and technology meet, I suppose how powerful that combination can be. Sam has already explained to you a little bit about Braille note takers and what they do. And essentially it is a Braille tablet. But Braille note takers have been around for quite a while. And one of the most popular Braille products from the early 90s, would you believe, was a device called the Braille and Speak. And this was a Braille keyboard with speech output. So there was no Braille on the device, but these machines sold in the thousands around the world, and people loved them because they were quick. And this is the key thing with a Braille note taker. It's about efficiency. It's about access to information at this moment, at the right time. The Braille note taker has matured, I suppose, over time. And now they run significantly powerful programs that can multitask and that crucially can operate in mainstream technology world. And we'll talk about that in a minute when I show you some of the things on the Braille Sense 6. So as Sam says, this is a brand new product that we're just introducing to the market. Very excited about it. It's made by a company called Selvis Healthcare in Korea. And it has a raft of applications. I'm going to go through some of them for you. And then I am going to demonstrate the email application, just to show you again how somebody might use this to communicate with friends or family or colleagues. And I'm keeping a bit of an eye on my time for Sam so that I don't go over my 15 minutes. So let me share my screen and let me share my sound. And hopefully, Sam, you are able to see the
File Manager.
and hear the Braille Sense 6.
Yeah, that's perfect, Stuart. Thank you.
Okay, brilliant. So the Braille Sense 6 is, as Sam says, a Braille note taker. It has a 32-cell Braille line, for want of a better word, on which the Braille will refresh as it changes. So the user will read 32 cells from left to right, and then we'll scroll on to read the next 32 cells. So this is not the same as reading paper Braille. And in the case study, we do make reference to paper Braille and how some people have a preference to read paper Braille as opposed to Braille on a Braille line like the Braille Sense. But for quick reading, for access to books, where you have a situation where you don't have a Braille printer, this is ideal. The Braille Sense 6 has a Braille keyboard, and just to give you some of the specs, it's an Android note taker. So Android is significant here, of course, because Android, which powers millions and millions of the world's mobile phones and tablets, means that you can now install applications from the Play Store, from the Google Play Store, and you can use the same applications as your sighted friends and colleagues would. So for example, we could have Facebook on this device, we could have WhatsApp, we could have Netflix, we could have Telegram, any number of applications that are already in the Play Store. But obviously, because this is a note taker, there are some specialist applications, and I'm just going to reference a few of them for you and just scroll through the Braille Sense Polaris's home screen or main menu when you turn it on. So the first thing you might hear when you turn the Braille Sense on is
File Manager.
File Manager, which is the first item on the menu screen. And the File Manager kind of does exactly what it says on the tin. It's a way to manage your documents and files on the Braille Sense 6. And it's also a way to connect to cloud storage. So if you have cloud storage, you can connect to the Braille Sense 6's file manager and save your files directly to the cloud, or indeed access files that have been shared with you. If you can see the screen, you will also notice that as well as the name of the file manager being available in print, you can see at the bottom of the screen, the Braille line is showing visually what I would be reading on the Braille display. And this is useful, really useful in a school situation where a teacher who may not have Braille skills can at least see to some way what the blind user is seeing. I'm going to scroll down through the main menu here.
Word processor.
This is the Braille Sense 6's word processor, which is not unsimilar to Microsoft Word. It can read and write Word documents, so they are easily changeable. And for example, if you're emailing an attachment to somebody from a version of Word on a computer, these files can be opened on the Braille Sense 6. But the Braille Sense 6 can also read other file formats, most notably PDF and PowerPoint slideshows. And this is really interesting because in the case of today's presentation, for example, Sam has a PowerPoint slideshow, as you'll know, that we are using today. I could also have this PowerPoint slideshow on my Braille Sense 6 and be following along, and I will get the text from each of those slides. I won't get the graphics, obviously, but I will get the text. I want to show you the email application just briefly for somebody who maybe relies on Braille more than speech, and where hearing and communication may be challenging, how straightforward it might be to send a quick email message from a device like this.
No email.
So let's open the email application.
Getting new message list. Unread from James Everson.
So it's opened my email and brings me into my inbox and puts me at the end of my inbox to the most recent email I have received, which I have not read yet. And it tells me here on the Braille display that it's an unread email from James Everson, who's one of my colleagues. I'm going to create a new message and I want to send an email to Sam. Now, bear in mind, at the moment, I have the voice turned on the Braille Sense 6 as well, so that you can all hear it. But I could also do this with the voice off and be using the Braille line exclusively. So I'm going to create a new message.
2. Edit box.
And I'm going to start typing Sam's name. I email him pretty frequently. We're good friends. We get on well. So hopefully he will pop up when I type his name here, Sam.
Lower G.
Colson. Let's see, does he pop up?
CC 2. Sam Cowlson, site and Sound Co UK edit
There's
box.
Sam in the to field, and
C
I'll
BCC
tab over here to
edit
the
subject. Edit box.
and I'll just say hello,
Hello.
and I'll tab into the message body,
Message body. Multi-line edit box.
and I'll say hi Sam.
Hi. Sam, comma. How are things question.
Hi Sam, how are things? Now I'm typing, I should mention, in contracted UEB, Unified English Braille. If you prefer the older Braille codes, they are all supported. UK, US, pre-UEB, obviously we are, and in general, the Braille world is strongly steering people towards UEB for all sorts of reasons these days, but it doesn't work for everybody, and you can switch over if you need to. I'm going to send this message by, again, pressing a keystroke. There are lots of keystrokes on the Braille Sense 6, and they are intuitive to a large extent.
Sending. Successfully sent new message.
And that message has gone off to Sam. That's how straightforward it is. From the perspective of a sighted person working with somebody with hearing loss or maybe reduced hearing or challenges in that respect, you can connect a series of peripherals to the Braille Sense 6. Probably most usefully in this situation, you can connect an external monitor so that somebody can actually see what's happening on the screen in real time. So in this scenario, you could have an external monitor on the Braille Sense 6. You could also have an external keyboard. And a sighted colleague or friend or family member could be typing on the external keyboard, watching what they're typing on the monitor, and the Braille user is reading that text in real time on the Braille display and typing back in real time using the Braille keyboard. So this stuff is really powerful when you connect a number of solutions together. Sam mentioned connecting a Braille terminal to, for example, a mobile phone. And we're now living in a world where Apple, in particular Apple, I suppose, because they were the first to do it, have built significant Braille access into their mobile phone suite. So iOS has very good Braille support at this stage, and the version 10 of Android onwards, the Braille support has improved significantly as well. So if you have an Android phone, you can do this, and you can connect any number of Braille technology to a mobile phone to allow you, for example, to send text messages via Braille, to use the internet, social networking, anything like that. Braille Displays, I just want to mention Braille Displays for a sec, because Sam made reference to Braille Displays as well. And we were sort of explaining that a Braille display essentially relies on another piece of technology to send it information, whereas a Braille note taker like the Braille Sense 6, as we're seeing, has a whole built-in suite of programs. But there are some Braille displays now that I would call smart Braille displays. So they have some functionality. For example, the focus range that we have here at Sight and Sound has a built-in notepad for making quick notes. And then you can go with those notes and you can send them to a PC or a mobile phone, something like that. So you will see these kind of hybrid Braille displays, I guess we would call them, that have some smarts that are part of the technology. I just want to briefly then mention mainstream applications, because this is an Android device. Going back to the Braille Sense 6 for a sec. I think I have about 2 minutes left. So I'm going to close the email application.
Exiting email. Email.
And we're back in the main menu. And I just want to show you what Android calls the All Apps area. So if I go to All Apps on my Braille Sense 6, just to give you a flavor of the type of stuff I have installed on this device already.
Apple Music.
So there's Apple Music. I subscribe to Apple Music, and it was very easy to be able to install Apple Music, sign in, and sync all my playlists that I would have set up on my phone to my Braille Sense 6. And I can only do this because it is an Android system, and it's running on the Android platform, and because the Apple Music program was accessible to the Braille Sense 6.
Assistant. Audible.
This is the Google Assistant. This is Audible, and again, that's for reading audiobooks.
Calculator. Calendar. Camera. Chime Me Big Ben Free.
So I'm just going through a couple of the Android applications that you can see. Last thing, just to show you, let's get back into our main menu.
File
And
Manager.
I'll show you another Android application here. I'm going to switch off my voice for a second, and apologies to anybody who has a Google Home in advance, and you'll see why in a sec.
Voice off.
Hey Google, what's the weather today?
Today in Dublin, it'll be mostly cloudy, with a forecasted high of 21 and a low of 13.
Let's say that's
Right now it's 18 degrees and mostly cloudy.
I'd say that's about right. Hey Google. Hey Google. How long will it take me to get to O'Connell Street?
It takes 13 minutes to drive to O'Connell Street Upper.
So the Hey Google functionality is built right into the Braille Sense 6, which is very handy.
Voice on.
Now, Sam, I think that's just about our time for Braille Sense 6 demo. So I'm happy to hand back over to yourself, and I will stop my screen share.
Thank you, Stuart. That was brilliant. Yeah, really good demonstration of all the functionality of the Braille Sense 6. Glenn, are you happy to just reshare the presentation?
I'm doing right now.
Thank you. And then we'll move on to the demonstration of the JAWS screen reader software. And then once the video's ended, we can have a short break. So we're going to have a look at the JAWS screen reader software now. Thanks, Glenn. Oh,
Sorry, hang on.
don't worry. Yeah, so now everyone, we've got a 4.5-minute video of Stuart again demonstrating.
I'm sorry you're stuck with me again. Apologies for that.
Thanks, Glenn.
Yeah, I can just kick it off with a click, yeah?
Yeah, go for it. Here we go, everyone. There's our JAWS demonstration from Stuart.
Yay!
Hi, my name is Stuart Lawler. I'm Business Development Manager for Sight and Sound Technology here in Ireland, and I'm also Head of Content Creation for the company. Now, I'm here today to talk about screen readers because I also happen to be a screen reader user, and in this case we're talking about JAWS. So JAWS is an application that sits on your computer and that captures information as it travels to the screen and outputs it in synthetic speech. It's a very efficient and effective way for a blind or low vision person to access information. In its most basic form, it can read text as you navigate through the screen. So if we're on the Windows desktop, for example,
Folder view list view Outlook 57 of 76.
it reads icons as I move around.
We application part 1. We WhatsApp. Publisher.
Or if I want to search for an application and open Word, for example,
Word app. Press like to switch preview.
I can do that by pressing enter. Email has become a core part of everyone's working life, and I know in my case I tend to live in Microsoft Outlook. Well, luckily JAWS works seamlessly with Outlook. So here I am in my inbox, and I'm flicking through my messages, and there's an unread message here. Somebody I've contacted is out of the office. I want to know when she might be back, so let's ask JAWS to read this message.
Out of office leave. Field of message plain text. I am on annual leave from the 4th 17th August 2020 and will have limited access to my emails or this.
So I know when she's back, and I'm going to press escape to close my message.
Inbox.
Now I do need to check my calendar for a meeting on Friday, because I need to check if I'm available at 12 noon. So I'm going to quickly go to my calendar.
Go to calendar. Look.
And I'm going to arrow over to Friday.
Friday, 18th September 2020. One event, one busy.
I have one event. I'm not sure what it is, so let's find out.
Julian Jackson podcast interview, 10 o'clock to 10:45 Friday, 18th September 2020. Time busy. Okay.
So I'm meeting someone at 10 o'clock for a podcast interview, but it's only going to take 45 minutes. So I can slot in a meeting at 12 o'clock. Well, the internet has become a key part of all our lives, hasn't it? And indeed, many people need to use the internet many times every day. In fact, a lot of work-based applications are now web-based, meaning that you use them from your web browser. Luckily, JAWS works with all the major web browsers on the market. In this case, I'm using it with Microsoft Edge, and I've already opened the Google homepage.
Google.
I'm going to search
and combo.
for assistive technology research. And I'll press enter. When I get my search results, and they've just come up, JAWS will quickly allow me to scan or skim the results to see what I might like. This is what we call, in screen reader terms, moving by headings.
Heading level, assist one volunteer today, heading, subscribe, heading, donate, heading, left search results, head, scholarly articles for assistive technology research, heading level 2 link, of instructional design and assistive technology research link, handbook of special education technology research link, 81 cited by 83 heading level.
I can easily flick through these search results, pressing enter on the one I need to access, and interrogate it further. Here's how JAWS works in Microsoft Word, a word processor used by so many people to do so many things every day. Well, in its most basic form, it can read the documents I have on screen.
We are looking at how screen reading technology like JAWS can interact with standard applications such as those found on the Microsoft Suite.
Now, if I want to interrogate that document a little more, I might want to see, for example, what size font and what is the font characteristics of what I'm currently writing in. So I'll ask JAWS to give me some info on the font.
14-point, black on white Arial, normal style, line spacing, 0 lines, pair.
So I'm using 14-point Arial, which is fine. The word JAWS in this document, I want to highlight or bold it to make it stand out.
Interact with, intercam, JAWS.
There's the word JAWS. I'm going to highlight it,
JAWS.
And I'm going to bold it.
Bolded, 14-point, black.
And JAWS has confirmed for me that that word has been bolded. And finally, at the top of this document,
Assistive tech.
I have a line that says Assistive Tech. I want to make that into a heading, and I want to center it so that it stands out as the title of the document. I'll now ask JAWS to give me characteristics to verify that.
16 points, steel blue 4 on white, delivery light, heading 1 style, line spacing, 0 lines, paragraph formatting, centered.
So I can tell that my document is now centered and ready to go.
Well, thanks, Stuart. That was great, and
thanks, Sam.
No problem. There we have it, everyone. So that's the JAWS screen reader software, which would allow David to access his computer and to create his digital music, perhaps via his computer. So, Glenn, if you just want to move to the next slide, and we'll quickly summarize, and then we'll take a break. There we are. So there are 5 solutions for David. Okay, we've got a real mix in there. We've got a Braille Embosser, which would allow David to print hard copy Braille. We've got some software, JAWS software, which would allow him to access his computer and navigate using keystrokes, and so everything would be audio based. We have a Braille note taker, okay, which would allow him to access applications, listen to his music. Essentially, it's a screenless tablet there. And then we've also got dual solutions. We've got the Focus Braille Display, which could be paired with a smartphone or a tablet, okay, and essentially used as a terminal, okay, and he can then access his smart device using a Braille display. And then we have the Pearl camera with Open Book, which would allow him to access printed text and convert that into audio or into digital text as well. So a real vast range there, some Braille portable solutions as well. Very good. We've just had a comment about cost, and we can, yeah, if there's anything you want to quickly add, Stuart, before we finish, do you want to add anything?
Yeah, I suppose just to say, you know, and like we have covered a lot of stuff in this scenario. and in many cases, it's about mixing and matching.
Yeah.
So we've mentioned, for example, the idea of using a Braille display with a piece of mainstream technology. I think it's important to say that the way in which mainstream vendors are now including specialist support for technology like this is hugely important. And it's changed the landscape in terms of how so many people can access this technology. So I think it's good to explore all these options.
Thanks, Stuart. I'm going to pop some pricing and costing in the chat box for everyone to have a look at. But we'll pause there for a 5-minute break. Okay, right, thank you. Good. Yes. So welcome back again, everybody. This is our third and final scenario. We're going to have a look at, and then we'll have another short break, and then there'll be time to reflect on the session and to ask any questions before we close at 12:15. Good. All right, Glenn, I'm aware that my video is not playing ball again, so please do tell me if we're having any difficulties. Okay, so third scenario of the morning we've got is Simon. Just going to, there we go. We've got Simon. Simon's 59 years old, and he's a retired warehouse worker. And some of Simon's difficulties and conditions. So Simon has diabetic macular edema, and he was also diagnosed with hearing loss, tinnitus, and arthritis, all due to the physical and environmental demands of his job. His sight gradually deteriorated, forcing him to take early retirement. David is a smoker, and he does experience high blood pressure, okay, which we know contributes to his diabetic macular edema. And some of Simon's day-to-day difficulties, so locating text due to blurred or double vision, okay, so locating text on the page, particularly the beginning of sentences, can be tricky. Again, operating a mobile phone, so we're going to have a look at the big brother or big sister of the Minivision. We're going to be looking at an upgraded model. Simon also struggles with general orientation and mobility, both indoors and outdoors. And also his 3D vision is deteriorating, and this makes it difficulty to judge depth perception. So finding the edges of steps or stairs can be a concern for Simon. Okay, so we're going to have a look at a series of solutions now, which hopefully will support him with those difficulties. We all know the drill by now. Again, this is a, sorry, yeah, that's okay. That was a visual representation of Simon's blurred vision. So orientate, thanks Glenn. Yeah, so you can see there, orientating at home, perhaps just around his house or flat, maybe quite tricky because of the blurred vision there. Thanks, thanks Glenn. Good, potential solutions. So the first one I mentioned, we've got the Smart Vision 2 Premium. So this is another accessible mobile phone from our friends at Capsys. Again, I'm going to talk you through the Smart Vision in just a second, but this is sort of the upgraded model to the Minivision, which we looked at earlier. And this is a fully accessible smartphone. Okay, so we'll be exploring that in a second. Next up, we have the Sunu Band. Okay, this is quite a unique piece of technology. Okay, it's another wearable device, but it's worn like a wristwatch. It's worn on your wrist, but this is a mobility smart band. Okay, so there's a little portal, a little sonar portal on the front of the band, which sends out a sonar wave, which then bounces off an object, a person, a lamppost, a car, a building, a wall, whatever it might be. It bounces off that object and it sends a vibration back to the band on your wrist. And then depending on how sort of aggressive that vibration might be, that gives you an indication of how near or how far away from that object you might be. Okay, so it really does give you a level of reassurance, sort of when you're out and about or even indoors. Just gives you an idea of your surroundings. Okay, spatial awareness. Again, this can, as I mentioned, this can be used indoors as well as outdoors. So you can adjust the settings
you can adjust the range in which the sonar wave will reach. So obviously, if you're in a more sort of cluttered environment, so if you're at home, there's obviously chairs, tables, doorways, etc. You can adjust the settings, and that will calibrate the sensitivity of the band. Okay, an additional feature to the Sunu Band is that it can be paired with a smartphone app. Okay, and then what Simon could do is, okay, if he needs a little bit of support when he's out and about, if he's conscious of a bit anxious of navigating to a destination, even to the shops, he can, using the Sunu Band app on his smartphone, he can plot his destination on the app, and that will then, via the Sunu Band as well, it will give him step-by-step audio directions, as well as the object detection feature on the band. So he'll be able to navigate to the shops with his audio directions, and he'll also have the vibration, the object detection via the band. Okay, so it's sort of, again, another dual solution, but perfect for somebody that needs some support with navigation or orientation. The third solution we've got today is an app. This is a free app, okay, for iOS, for Apple devices, and also for Android. It's very, very popular. You may have already heard of it. This is called Be My Eyes, and it's an app which allows somebody with a visual impairment or a hearing impairment to connect with a sighted volunteer. Okay, and that individual can then obviously support you with a task around the house, perhaps. I have a user who uses Be My Eyes to read his electricity meter. So he holds his smartphone up in front of the electricity meter, and the Be My Eyes volunteer can give him the reading on the meter. Okay, so there's lots of ways that you can use this if you do need some sighted assistance. And there's over 4 million volunteers now that have signed up to Be My Eyes globally. So it's it's a very, very popular application for a smartphone device. The fourth solution we've got is another wearable, okay, and this is called the Envision smart glasses, okay, and I'm going to be demonstrating this for you in detail in just a second, so I won't go into too much more detail on this, but this again is another wearable. It's essentially a text-to-speech device, but it has many more features built in, and I'll go through those as much as I can in just a second. And then finally, we have another app, a free solution, okay, and this is called Microsoft Soundscape. Okay, this again is available on Android and on iOS, and this is again quite unique. I've got a video to show you on Soundscape in just a second. This is another navigation app. Okay, however, it uses quite unique technique, if you like, to guiding you. It doesn't just use step-by-step audio, as in walk to the end of the street and turn left. It uses 3D ambient sounds to enrich your environment. Okay, so it gives you a real feel for how sort of populated your environment is. Is there traffic? So if there's traffic on your right hand side, if you're wearing headphones, let's say, all of the audio of the traffic will be coming from the right hand side. Okay, if there's trees bristling in the wind on the left hand side, you're walking through the park, they'll be coming from the left. Okay, so it really does give you it sort of enriches your environment using 3D audio. Okay, and it's very unique, and I'm a big fan. I'm going to show you, as I said, a video of this in just a second. But before we do that, I want to show you Envision. Okay, because this is another device that we're very excited about. It's very new. So yeah, I'll just quickly repeat what I was talking about, the sort of physical makeup of the Envision glasses. So we've got the titanium band across the front on the left hand side, and all the technology is on the right hand side. Okay, so on this right hand side here, we've got the touch pad, which is located between the temple and the ear. Okay, and this is where we control Envision. This is where we ask Envision to scan the text, to scan our environment, to do various things. So that's the touch pad. And then at the very front of the Envision glasses, we have the camera, see, which is the most important section. And this is just to the right hand side of your right eye. And then in front of the right eye, we have a very small digital lens. Okay, now this can be disabled for anybody that has obviously no vision or no use of that right eye. Some people also find it sometimes a little bit disorientating, so it can be disabled completely, and you can just have the audio from the glasses. However, for those that do would like to make use of the digital lens, it does display all of the menus, all of the settings. Any text that you capture is displayed in this digital lens in a high contrast white text on a black background. Okay, so it can have its uses. And then we've got a speaker, which is obviously at the back of the frames, which is just in front of the ear there. We have a charging port at the back of the glasses and the power button as well. Okay, the glasses are Bluetooth compatible, so I have these paired to a Bluetooth speaker now, but they can again be paired to Bluetooth headphones, Bluetooth hearing aids. All of this is possible with Envision. Okay, now the reason why we're such big fans of Envision is because this essentially it's an open platform, because this is a Google device. Okay, Google have made the hardware, so the actual glasses themselves, it's called the Google Glass version 2, and then Envision have just put their software onto the glasses. Okay, so because it's a Google device, it's an Android device. Okay, this allows Envision to build on top of the platform there, so they can add down the line that as the glasses develop, they're hoping to develop and add third-party applications. So they're hoping to add navigation apps, for instance, like whether it's Google Maps or Blind Square or Soundscape, whatever it might be. All of this is possible because they have that open Android platform. The other thing I wanted to mention quickly before I move on is it's completely, it'll come back to me. There was one other thing then that I wanted to mention, but we'll move forward and I'll demonstrate some of the features. I've got a quick question there. Is it weatherproof? I wouldn't say it was waterproof, okay, but yeah, I'd say you wouldn't want to get the glasses wet, okay. So I mean, but they do say that these glasses are showerproof, okay, so the odd water droplet, but yeah, but I wouldn't recommend going out in a downpour with the glasses on. Yeah, good. So I'm just going to there we go. I'm going to wake up the glasses, okay, and I'm going to navigate through the menus using the touchpad on the side here. So I'm going to swipe forward,
read, call, identify, find.
Okay, so you can see that as I'm swiping, I'm getting the audio, which is telling me which category as I swipe through the menu. Okay, so I'm going to go back to the read category.
Identify, call, read.
Read, okay. Obviously, this is the main feature, which would allow me to scan text. It's going to allow Simon to access any printed material. Okay. Obviously, for anybody that is severely sight impaired, perhaps, that needs some support with identifying where the text is on the page, okay, Envision also has built-in text detection. So if I go into the read category now,
scan text.
I've got scan text. I'm going to double tap again on the touchpad. Okay, now I'm going to get a series of beeps now, which tells me how much text is in front of the camera. Hopefully you can pick those up.
A faster frequency of beeps means that more words are detected. Double tap to scan the text.
So obviously, the higher the frequency of beeps, I know that there's a large amount of text in front of the camera. So as soon as I'm happy with that frequency of beeps, I can double tap the touchpad and it will scan the text on the page. Okay. There we go. It's just going to take a couple of seconds to process.
Reader, a commitment to continual product refinement and innovation means that our solutions are the best available. What's more, they're simple to set up and easy to use. About US, read, solutions for blind or partially sighted people and for those with learning and reading difficulties. Working in unison with private individuals, charitable.
There we go. I'm just going to pause the text for a second. So I can tap once on the touchpad to pause. I can tap again to start playing. I can even swipe forward on the touchpad to fast forward in the text. I can swipe backwards to rewind. All of these things are possible. But a real key feature with Envision, and I think this is brilliant, is that if I wanted to, I can now export this text from the glasses. Okay, so I can export it from the glasses to the Envision app. on my smartphone. And then from there, I can have the text displayed, magnified, and read to me aloud on the Envision app. But then I can then send that in an email, or I can send it in a text message. I can save it onto my phone as a text file. Okay, so Envision allows you to scan printed text. It converts it into audio, but it also allows you to export it as a digital text file to a mobile device as well. So there's so many unique features with Envision. It's far more than just a scan and read device. You can also batch scan documents. So if you're reading a book, a novel, perhaps, you can scan multiple pages, and then you can sit back and listen to them as one document, you know, almost like an audio book. You can sit back and have them all read to you page by page. Okay? You don't have to scan each individual page and then listen to that page, scan a new page. You can scan them all and sit back and listen. Okay, batch scan. And you can even export that file as one whole document as well. So there's lots in there.
One
Good.
finger swipe down again to scan text.
Okay, so I'm just going to come out of the text reading feature for a second, and I'm going to show you the second of the feature. Does it handle columns and rows? I've just had from Tim. Yes, Tim, it does. Okay, so the OCR technology that's built into Envision automatically formats the text on the page. So if you're reading a bank statement, for instance, okay, rather than reading down the columns, so all the dates, all the amounts, all the transactions, it will read across the column, across the line. Okay, date, amount, transaction, etc. If you're reading a newspaper, it will read down the column, okay, rather than across, etc. So it will automatically format the layout of the text on the page for you. Okay. Again, if you were reading a Bible, for instance, it would read down the columns, yeah, rather than across. Good. Okay. Good. I'm going to come out of the text reading, and I'm going to show you what we call Envision Ally. Now, this is fantastic. This really does set Envision apart from any of its competitors. Is that Envision has built-in video calling. Okay, so if I wanted to call my friend, family member, or colleague, I can do that through the Envision glasses, and because obviously I have a camera on the front of the glasses, that person can see exactly what I'm looking at through their smartphone. Okay, on their smartphone, they can see exactly what I'm looking at. Okay, built-in video calling. So I'm going to go to the Envision Ally feature.
Scan text, instant text, scan text, read, call,
Call,
call, call, call an ally.
call an ally. It's going to load my list of allies now.
Tony.shrub at sight and sound. Sam Coulson.
Okay, I'm going to call myself because I know that I'll pick up. So I'll double tap on my name.
Connecting with Sam Coulson.
Okay, now I've just got a notification on my smartphone which tells me that there's an incoming call from an Envisioner. I'm going to tap on that notification. There we go. Just going to turn down the volume so we don't get any feedback. So there, on my smartphone now, okay, we have a live video stream of exactly what the person wearing the Envision glasses is looking at. So if I move my head around my office, hopefully you can see the potted plants on the windowsill. You can see outside the window there. Lovely view of my neighbour's back garden. Okay, so you can clearly see the benefit, the clear benefits to this feature. You know, if somebody needed some sighted support very quickly, they can call a friend or a relative. And this is obviously very different to Be My Eyes, which allows somebody to connect with a sighted volunteer. So it's not a friend, it's not somebody that you know personally, and that's Be My Eyes. Obviously, that has its uses if you're in a different country and you want to connect with somebody that knows the area. Be My Eyes is perfect. However, if you're just at home and you want to connect with somebody that's personal to you, the Envision Ally feature is a fantastic way of doing that. Okay, so I'm going to swipe down on the touchpad to end the call.
One finger swipe down again to exit. Call ended.
Call ended.
Sam Coulson.
Okay, there we go. Now, I've shown you the two main features with Envision. I've shown you the text reading feature, and I've shown you the Envision Ally, the video calling feature. However, there is so much more packed into Envision that I'd love to show you in more detail today, but obviously we're pushed for time. But what I will quickly show you is one of the features is scene description. So
Call an ally.
If Simon is out and about and he's in unfamiliar surroundings, okay, he's a little bit anxious, he's not sure what's around him, you know, are there doors, are there people, you know, cars, you know, what am I looking at? What is in front of me? Just to give you a bit of reassurance, Envision can give you a description of your surroundings. So
call, read, call, identify.
If I go to
describe scene,
identify category, and then I select describe scene, I've just taken a snapshot of what's in front of me in my office.
a group of monitors on a table.
Okay, a group of monitors on a table. That's fairly accurate. I've got 3 screens in front of me. Okay, we'll try it again outside.
Describe scene.
There we go. So you can obviously see there that it does take a few seconds to process. Okay, that's because obviously the internet connection there does need time to convert the image.
A window with plants in a house.
Oh, very good. A window with plants and a house. Okay, so if there was people in front of me as well, it would give me a description of how many people. Okay, it would give me certain details. Okay, like a room with a television and an armchair, that sort of thing. So it gives you a detailed description of your surroundings. So there's obvious benefits to that for anybody with a visual impairment. Okay, now I'm going to come out of describe scene. Lots of other features packed in there. Facial recognition, light detection. So for anybody that obviously has no vision at all, that needs some idea of, is there a good light source in the room? Okay, because if there, you know, if the light was poor, that would affect the accuracy of Envision, of, you know, scanning text. It wouldn't be able to pick up the text if the light was too low in the room. So if somebody with no vision needs some indication of, is there a good light source, there is a light detection feature. Okay, so if I move my head to the right, there will be there is a pitch that will increase, that will give me an idea of, oh, there's good light source coming from the right hand side. If I move it to the left, the pitch will drop. Okay, so that indicates, oh, there must be light coming from a window over there. So, you know, it gives you an indication of your surroundings of where the light source is coming from as well. Okay, good. I'm gonna have to pause there because we're pushed for time, but yeah, I could spend an hour easily on Envision. There's so much built into this brilliant device. But yes, and the last thing I missed actually was it will read handwriting. Okay, so I've got a handwritten greetings card here, which I was going to demonstrate. But yeah, there is no other text-to-speech device out there that will capture handwriting. Okay, so you can read printed greetings cards, printed notes, whatever it might be, handwritten notes using Envision as well. Okay, so it's a brilliant device. Very good. Okay, so that's Envision. So Glenn, if you want to just pop the presentation, thank you. There we go. Good. And I've got sort of 2 minutes before we need to take our last break of the session. So what I'll do is I'll show you a video of Soundscape, which is the next slide, Glenn, I believe. This is the...
It's coming in.
Thank you, Glenn. Yeah, this is the app from Microsoft, which uses 3D ambient sound.
Any area in the world with Soundscape Street Preview. When on a location page, select the Soundscape Street Preview button to gain a rich sense of the street layout in 3D audio. You will be virtually transported to the middle of the street next to your chosen location. Using your phone as a pointer, the street names are called out as you turn. When facing the street you want to go down, tap Go to advance to the next intersection. At each intersection, you can use the phone again to choose which road to go down, or explore your immediate surroundings using the familiar Soundscape buttons along the bottom of the screen. And now from the search bar, you can start beacon guidance to any point of interest, explore the area in richer detail, or change your virtual location. For example, let's say you want to preview the street layout around the Notre Dame Cathedral in Paris, France. From the home screen, search for Notre Dame, and then from its location details page, you select the Soundscape Street Preview button. For the best experience, we recommend that you stand up and turn in place, and use stereo headphones. You can slowly turn your phone in either direction to hear the street names at each intersection. Let's say you want to hear what the walk will be like from the Notre Dame Cathedral to the Pont Neuf metro stop. You do this by going to the Explore Nearby button to search by name or filter for a list of public transit locations nearby the virtual location. Once you have the metro stop selected, you can start an audio beacon in your virtual experience. You will return to the Soundscape Street Preview homepage and now hear the beacon sound providing 3D audio guidance towards the Pont Neuf. If you press the Go button, you'll hear information at the next intersection.
Approaching intersection. Rue des Eglantines, goes left.
Rue des Pavoyans, goes right.
Soundscape Street Preview is best used to get familiar with street layouts and explore places. So please, take some time to play and experiment with the Soundscape Street Preview feature. Enjoy and have fun.
Excellent. Thank you, Len. So there we are, everyone. That Microsoft Soundscape. I really do recommend downloading that and having a play, because it's a really unique way of navigating. Excellent. There we are. There are 5 solutions for you. Lots of we've got 2 wearables in there. We've got an accessible smartphone and 2 free apps, which will allow you to navigate and to get a richer idea of your surroundings, indoors and outdoors. Okay. Good. All right, we'll take 5 minutes, everybody, and then we'll come back, and Glenn is going to summarize and wrap up, and then we'll have any time for questions as well, if you do have any. So yeah, we'll take another 5-minute break there. Thank you.
A few places you can go to pick up more information and resources around the subject areas we've covered today. First place is a smartphone app which you can download to your Android or Apple phone. It's called WHAT, W-H-A-T-A-T, and that app has a whole range of different technologies to fit specific eye conditions. It is very much sight focused, although it does have literacy and some other disabilities in there as well. But it links to technologies, many of which you've seen today, including videos and further information. So it's a broader view of what you've seen here today. We have a YouTube channel, Sight and Sound Technologies YouTube channel, and there's a range of resources there, from webinars like the one you're covering here, through to 5-minute coffee cup videos of different technologies and products, to webinars around issues such as social distancing, etc. So there's a whole range of different resources, all video on the YouTube channel. And we've got people out on the streets to help look after you, support you, no obligation, no cost. Our team out in the field, such as Sam, Stuart, myself, cover the whole of the UK, including offices in Dublin, Glasgow, and an HQ in Northampton, but we cover every single part of the UK. So we're very happy to come out and support people in the field with demonstrations and information and support around our technology. We have our world famous, we'd like to think, technical support team back here at HQ, and they look after some 45,000 people with the technology. And for those who pick up our technology, we look after them for the remainder of their time that they have the technology with us. So we like to keep it up and running. And you can just call into our tech team and they can take over your computer remotely if it's software driven, or give you some help. And they even repair the equipment on site as well. A very important part of our lineup, of course, is the trainers. And we think that training and understanding how to use all of this technology is about the most crucial part of this whole thing. Lots of features, lots of buttons to click, lots of things to understand, lots of different ways to set up and customize equipment, and that's what our trainers will do with you. We have blogs, we have webinars, we have newsletters, so you can find us on Facebook, Instagram, and also on Twitter as well, with a whole range of live information. So subscribe to those channels if you want to hear more about assistive technology. So that's what we have in support of the team that you've seen here today. Next one, please, Sam. Just another little feature that we have that may help those of you who are pointing and signposting people in our direction. we have a referral portal, which is a tab at the top of the Sight and Sound homepage, and you can go to the referral portal and you can register yourself. And once you're registered, you'll pick up one of the team to work with you, look after you from Sight and Sound, and then you can refer people to us who you want us to help with technology advice, support, demonstration, which is what it's really aimed at. So if you are someone who is a professional, who is signposting people in need of assistive technology support, then register yourself on our portal. We'll get you set up, and then you can refer people to us. You can then log back into your referral portal login, and you can see the status of how that referral is progressing with the team here looking after that. So that's a quick and easy way you can connect with Sight and Sound and get us to work with people in support of technology. So I think that covers the presentation for today. Now ready to take questions and answers. So if you want to put your hands up, get into the chat box, Stuart, myself, and Sam can pick up anything that you want to talk to us about. Otherwise, we'll say thank you very much for being with us today. Is there any questions that anyone wants to pick up with us?
And if you do want to ask questions, you can do Alt and Y if you want to raise your hand. If people are using shortcuts, Alt and H brings you to chat.
I haven't got any questions, but I just wanted to say thank you very much. It was a really interesting session.
Thank you.
Thanks everybody for being patient. I appreciate it.
Great. Well, thank you very much for being with us today.
I'll just say, guys, I had to drop out of some of that. Sorry, Dave. Jump into it. It was brilliant. You know what I was able to see. It was. I love these type of sessions because you always learn so much more than you realise you don't know. I had no idea about that What AT app you just mentioned at the end. I'll be looking at that for sure. I had no idea about that.
Download that and get into it. It's probably due of a little bit of an update now, but all the conditions are relevant and the technology is relevant as well.
Yeah, that is so cool. Just on the soundscape one, does that do sort of like directional audio? So if you've got like a street on the left, does it put it in your left?
Correct.
Is that right, Sam?
Yeah.
It does,
so traffic noise would be in the direction that it's coming from, that sort of thing.
Yeah, that would be really useful for our members who are hooking in with, obviously a neck loop or Bluetooth hearing aids, and then they're getting that sort of they're getting that sort of 3D audio, really, aren't they?
That's exactly it.
Which is brilliant. What I was going to say, I know we're going to hook in about just how the referral works a bit more, Sam, weren't we? And then I can pass that on to the guys because I think that's an absolute genius thing. That's just fantastic. That is, and it will just, I don't know. I just think I think it will give people sort of a lot of confidence to say, "Oh, I'm not too sure these guys." I'm sure might be able to help. So I really like that.
No, we can chat more about that, Tim. No problem.
We've a quick question from James in the chat as well. Can the technology be insured if it drops or breaks? So, and I mean, yes is the answer broadly. I think people would put it on their own home insurance, wouldn't they? Sometimes, Sam, or have you had experience?
Yeah, that's the way it goes. People normally put it on their home insurance. It's covered within your home insurance as valuables or valuables away from the home technology. That's the cheapest way to do it. We do have insurance policies. 10, 20, 30 pounds a year, sometimes more for very expensive devices, but I would always tell someone to put it onto their home policy.
Yeah.
I just thinking actually just one final one actually. Sometimes it's not often, but occasionally you might come across a member where they find that the technology isn't quite suitable for them, and then that might be after a month or two of using it. Is there a buyback scheme ultimately at all, or I mean, if it was say 6 months down the line, I think, I'm not quite getting on with them vision glasses, or do you do anything like that? Or
no, sadly, there isn't really a buyback scheme. It's interesting actually. Despite this technology being very expensive, there just isn't a second-hand market for it. People always seem to want to have something that's brand new and their own. So over the years, we've tried rental schemes, buyback schemes, and in the end, we just get left with a pile of equipment that nobody else seems to want. So no, there hasn't been a demand for that. over the 14 years I've been here, because we've discussed it many times, it almost sort of seems obvious. But no, that hasn't happened at all.
Yeah, no, that would make sense. It doesn't often happen either, to be honest. But yeah, I don't know whether you covered it, but in terms of, I mean, I'm not too sure how much the Envision glasses were. Are they 2,000? Were they
2695 for the Envision glasses? Yeah.
Yeah, I think you might have covered it. In terms of, there's always one that comes up with members for, and obviously, you know, I know you guys would support in terms of payment schemes. Did you cover that?
We didn't actually. No, we didn't really go into too much detail about that. But yes, I mean, we do offer an interest-free payment plan, so you can spread the cost across 6, 9, or 12 months interest-free.
That's good.
Yeah. Or obviously, yeah. I mean, there may be funding pots available with various charities, but yeah, that's what.
Yeah, that's where we ask people to go, or we signpost them towards the charities, because very often there's a fund for supporting people with technology. Not always, but sometimes there is, worth going there first. But we do have the 3, 6, 9, or 12 months interest free, and then it goes up to 3 years with an interest rate attached to it as well. Most people seem to do the interest free scheme with us.
Yeah, I was going to just another one's come into my head. I mean, yeah, thanks for looking at the mini vision phones there. I mean, we get quite a lot of members who obviously, because they're elderly, I guess some of them, you know, they are looking for those simpler mobile phones. Just out of interest, do you find that there is quite a high demand for those phones?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, the simpler tactile devices are very, very popular because for that reason. Yeah, because all the sort of fancy smartphone features are taken away, and it's just a very easy to use, accessible phone. Yeah.
And there's also, I just think to add something, there's also a lot of people who just like buttons. They just like to be able to, you know, press buttons and to know that it's just easier for a lot of people than touchscreens.
Yeah. And I guess that is what, you know, quite a few are used to in the past, and it is that familiarity, isn't it? And I think for our membership as well, there are mobility issues as well, obviously, and dexterity challenges. So, you know, with the physical buttons, that is for some easier than the touch screen for sure.
Yep. And then you also have the reliability of the voice activation as well. Exactly. So you can just hold down this central button and speak into the phone, so you don't have to worry about the keys. So yeah, it's very popular.
Yeah, no, thanks for that. I am always saying to people, you know, try and use the voice more. Try and use the voice more, because they are much more accurate now than they used to be.
Yes, that's it. Yeah, definitely. Well, as Stuart demonstrated as well, Google Assistant and Alexa as well, you know,
they're fantastic. Yeah.
Brilliantly accurate now, aren't they? So it's
mainstream tech again, that's been sort of created for everyone.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Good.
Thanks, guys.
Okay, thanks. No, thanks.
Okay.
I think
thank you, everybody.
Glenn.
Yeah, I think we're there now. Thank you, everybody, for spending time with us today. Sam, especially for putting so much effort into putting this together with the team. I really appreciate it, actually. Good session. We got there in the end. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
And team, we'll talk to you about this afterwards as well. Thanks.